Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to be looking at Ghost Dog, written and drawn by Scott Morse. This is a prequel to the 1999 film Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai, directed by Jim Jarmusch. Very atypical film for Jarmusch. It's kind of an action film, but of course it's Jim Jarmusch, so it's got all this great character stuff and way more interesting than your average action flick. I was really excited when this comic came out in 2000, pretty soon after the movie. Not because I'm a huge fan of Scott Morse or, this comic is that great, but Ghost Dog, the characters in it, especially Ghost Dog himself, such a great, amazing character that I want to see more stories about him. I wish there was a sequel to Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai. There probably never will be, but at least if Oni Press was going to start putting out these comics, I was like, ooh, they'll tell more stories in that universe, because I really liked what Jim Jarmusch set up. And that's what this is. It's basically just a vignette, a little prequel vignette in Ghost Dog's life. So in the movie, there's a conflict, kind of a moral conflict, because Ghost Dog, even though he's just a hitman who lives in New York City, his only friends are pigeons. He's kind of like this loser, but he lives his life like a samurai. He follows the samurai code. He reads all these old philosophical books from Japan, and he's very serious about it. He's devoted his life to the ways of the samurai. So we start off with a quote here. If one were to say in a word what the condition of being a samurai is, its basis lies first in seriously devoting one's body and soul to his master. And like I said, that's causes the main moral conflict, because samurais are supposed to be good, but they're also supposed to be utterly loyal to their master. In the movie, Ghost Dog's master is a mid-level mafioso. I guess he saved Ghost Dog's life once, so that's why Ghost Dog has pledged his allegiance to him. So of course that causes a conflict in his soul. So as we can see, Scott Morse is doing a more straight kind of art style, obviously retaining some cartooniness with these clouds. But as we shall see, it's more of a straight style for Scott Morse. It's pretty good. It works for the story. So we start off 4 years before the movie starts, and it's we're in Louis' apartment. Louis is Ghost Dog's master, but not yet. So he's sitting in his house, standing in his kitchen, making pasta sauce, because here's a knock on the door. It's Ghost Dog. He says, "What do you want?" And he says, "I am in your service as your retainer," with his head bowed, very solemn. But he's got a pigeon on his shoulder. It's kind of funny. And Louis is just like, what the fuck? So his pasta is boiling over. His sauce is boiling over. So he says, "Oh, give me a second." And when he comes back, Ghost Dog's gone. And Louis like, fucking weirdo, whatever. So a few days later, he's in the back of this Chinese restaurant. He meets his mob bosses. These guys, by the way, in the movie, these three mob bosses are fucking hilarious. They're great characters. And I guess something went south. This guy, Joey Platinum, whacked this guy. But there was a witness. Before he could tell him much about the witness, though, he keeled over, had a heart attack. Just as he was hitting the floor, all he said was Francie. So all they have is a name. So they task Louis with taking this guy out. Louis complains. He's like, "Guys, I don't do hit jobs anymore. I'm old." It's like, oh, no shit. Just hire a fucking outsider, That's what the mafia does when they don't want anything to lead back to them. So Louis sitting in his apartment later on that day, and a pigeon shows up at the window. It's got a little note wrapped around its leg, and it says, "In your service as your retainer." So the next morning, Louis goes down to this Chinese market. I guess the kid who worked there at his dad's store, he was the guy who would do all the hits for Louis when he wanted outside help. But the father says, "Oh no, kid's off at college. He's very smart." So he's unavailable. So then he figures, I guess I'll have to give Ghost Dog a try. This guy seems crazy, but maybe he'll do the job. So he gets another note by pigeon. Need help with Francie? In your service as your retainer. Reply when necessary. So somehow Ghost Dog has been, I guess, casing him, following him around. He knows all about the situation already. So Louis figures, yeah, I guess I am going to go with this guy. Sends him a note back, basically saying payment on completion, discretion, or it's your ass. A few days later, we're at the strip club. And this guy's asking for Francie. This shows how it's like kind of Jim Jarmusch, where we spend a whole page of just this waitress / stripper kind of complaining. She doesn't know who Francie is. She thinks it's another stripper. She's like, I know who this Francie is, but I could give a better lap dance. You know, basically just this little character bit about the stripper. So it turns out Francie's in the back room with a customer. And we see this shadowy figure creeping up to the back room. Of course, it's Ghost Dog. And he sees Francie riding on this guy, having sex. She's got a blindfold on. And I guess Ghost Dog, even though he's good at his job, some wires were crossed, and he thinks Francie's the dude. And so he shoots the guy right in the head. And this is so weird. The stripper, Francie, just keeps riding him. The whole time she's going, oh, Francie, you're so good. She has no idea that he's dead. It's 2 bullet holes in his forehead, but she can't see it. It's a crazy scene. And then Ghost Dog walks away, and this black dog is looking at him. Then we're back in Louis' apartment. He gets a note that says, complete, discreet, payment plan to be discussed. And he sends a return note to Ghost Dog. And that's the beginning of their working relationship. So Louis returns to the back of that Chinese restaurant to talk to his bosses. And they're happy with the way things went down. And then we see Ghost Dog in his lonely little apartment with his pigeons, reading Hagakure, more philosophy. Our bodies are given life from the midst of nothingness, existing where there is nothing. Is the meaning of the phrase form is emptiness. That all things are provided for by nothingness is the meaning of the phrase emptiness is form. One should not think that these are 2 separate things. And that's it. It's a very slight comic. Just a slight little tale in the life of Ghost Dog. But I kind of like it. And I don't know if I'd keep this comic if it wasn't Ghost Dog. You know, it's not like the best written and drawn comic ever. I think it's pretty good. But I just love the idea that there's more Ghost Dog stories out there. I wish there was another movie. That's never going to happen, though. As an aside, I did want to say, at the end of the movie, this young girl that Ghost Dog was basically training in the ways of the samurai. She's very serious about it. And she's like 12 or something. And then the daughter of the mafia boss who Ghost Dog kills, spoiler alert, sorry, it's an old movie. She's like 13, and she's this incredibly evil, diabolical girl. And so at the end of the movie, I couldn't help but thinking, oh my God, there's got to be a movie about these 2 girls, these amazing, formidable young girls going head to head. But of course, that's probably never going to happen. But I was almost daydreaming that, like, if this sold better, maybe Ghost Dog would have done that. Sorry, maybe Oni Press would have made that comic. And I would have been a very happy nerd. So that's it, guys. Ghost Dog by Scott Morse. I hope you enjoyed looking at this video, and I hope to see you next time here at the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.